We got a new Smash game on the way, and you know what that means. Roster talk.
Perhaps the biggest one, or the most talked about one, would be King K. Rool.
I'm rolling with it and keeping Snake in my roster because, man,
Ridley is
the shit. Size argument can be countered.
Why Gino? Like, why does everybody want Gino?
People who really want Mewtwo are going to take this as a really bad
It's going to
sign.
be him. Who else could
Wait a
No
minute.
way!
You're letting
Oh,
yeah.
Oh,
Yes!
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 Oh, God, yes!
Super Smash Bros. Is a series of fighting video games published by Nintendo across various consoles. By far the most defining feature of the series is its roster of characters, comprising of various famous Nintendo characters such as Mario from Super Mario Bros., Link from Legend of Zelda, and Pikachu from Pokemon. The series has even extended to include a handful of famous third-party characters including Sonic the Hedgehog, Mega Man, and Pac-Man. Each entry in the series has ranked among the best-selling games Nintendo has produced, selling millions of copies each to extremely positive reception for its wide selection of characters and fun, accessible gameplay. To put some raw numbers out there, Super Smash Bros. Melee for the Nintendo GameCube sold over 7 million copies worldwide and was the best-selling title on the Nintendo GameCube. Super Smash Bros. Brawl for the Nintendo Wii sold over 13 million copies, and was the fastest-selling title for Nintendo of America. Super Smash Bros. For Wii U sold over 3 million copies worldwide within 2 months of release, making it the fastest-selling Wii U title, beating out Mario Kart 8. Naturally, such a popular series has developed a substantial fan base, including a dedicated competitive scene, a wide casual audience, and a vocal community dedicated to speculation. It's this speculation side of the Smash fandom that I'm interested in today. As a longtime Smash fan that's intimately familiar with Smash speculation, I think I'm fairly qualified to talk about this. This video examines the Super Smash Bros. Speculation community through an academic lens and uses it as a starting point for discussing the basic concepts of fandom studies. For those of you who are already fans of Super Smash Bros., this video will serve as an introduction to fandom studies. For those of you who are fandom scholars, this video will demonstrate how fandom research can be applied to this specific fan community. But I'm getting ahead of myself. In order to fully understand why we're talking about this, let's take a brief look at the history of Super Smash Bros. And the speculation community. The original Super Smash Bros. Was released on the Nintendo 64 in Japan on January 21st, 1999, and saw a worldwide release within the same year. Director Masahiro Sakurai wanted to create an original fighting game with an emphasis on 4-player combat as an alternative to the popular fighting games on the market. As a hook for the game, Sakurai came up with the idea to have the cast of playable characters be comprised of famous Nintendo characters. The game was a smash hit, and just 2 years later, the game's first sequel, Super Smash Bros. Melee for the Nintendo GameCube, hit store shelves. Since then, the Super Smash Bros. Series has had a total of 6 entries spanning multiple consoles, each expanding upon the previous entry with new characters. See, whenever a new Smash game is announced, fans are quick to begin speculating just what new characters will be added to the roster. This creates a speculation period leading up to the game's release, during which fans attempt to both review whatever evidence they can find to measure which characters are most likely, and demonstrate support for their own personal favorites in hopes that they too might be added to the roster someday. To put it mildly, this gets intense. Smash fans who actively participate in the speculation community frequently demonstrate a high degree of emotional investment in their favorite characters and the outcome of their roster as a whole. Even more casual fans will often vocalize their predictions and which characters they want to see. The fans come out in numbers too. The online forum Smashboards, largely recognized as the premier forum for Smash discussion, has over 200,000 members, and their section dedicated to newcomer speculation features thousands of pages of discussion. A single YouTube video discussing roster speculation can reach tens or even hundreds of thousands of views apiece. And that's not just me, Nintendo has noticed this. Starting with the 4th installment in the series, Nintendo took a new approach to their marketing for Smash, uploading trailers for the game every month or so that focus exclusively on a single new character being added to the roster. A single character reveal is such a major event that Nintendo has historically ended some of their biggest presentations with a Smash character reveal. About 50% of their last E3 presentation, a yearly showcase of games from all the major developers, was dedicated exclusively to the latest Smash title. ending with a bombshell reveal of a longtime fan request. Smash is a big deal, and yet despite the scope of this fandom, very few have really bothered to study it. For such a fascinating fandom dedicated to one of gaming's biggest properties, there's been little resembling academic analysis of it. That's where I come in. So, with that preamble out of the way, let's talk a bit about fandom studies through the lens of the Super Smash Bros. Speculation community. And for the record, I'll be primarily looking at the Smash speculation community through the online forum Smashboards, as well as various YouTubers who produce Smash-related content. So before we can properly talk about any sort of fandom, it's important to establish what even is a fan. Most people would say that they are fans of something, but how does one go about defining a fan? This is something of a challenge for fandom scholars because defining what constitutes such a nebulous concept like fan is difficult, to say the least. What makes a fan different from anyone else? Is there a difference? Is it measurable? Is it healthy? Is it a self-identifier? To start, the word fan originates from the word fanatic, a term originally used to describe religious devotion, but has since evolved to mean any sort of excessive enthusiasm.
No! What?
There are plenty of negative stereotypes surrounding the concept of fans that portray their enthusiasm as something frightening or disruptive to the status quo, but more recently the idea of the fan has softened a bit to reflect more of a celebration of passion. So yeah, defining a fan can be tough, but for simplicity's sake, let's go with the definition offered by media scholar Mark Duffett in his book Understanding Fandom. A fan is a self-identified enthusiast, devotee, or follower of a particular media genre, text, person, or activity. Consequently, a fan community or fandom can be defined as a socially organized group of fans who share one hero, text, or genre, and then network with each other. So now that we have a very basic understanding of what a fan and fandom mean, we can start asking questions, namely, how and why do people become fans? How is actually a ridiculously hard question to answer. If we accept the idea that a fan's identity is self-defined, then we have to contend with the reality that every fan has a unique becoming a fan story, and trying to discern a formulaic process out of these numerous individual stories may not be feasible. People become fans because they develop a significant emotional investment to the subject in question, but how people become emotionally invested is somewhat unpredictable and varies from person to person. To put this in terms of Smash, there are innumerable ways that someone might be introduced to and become invested in the series, and in this case, that's by design. Smash Bros. Is a crossover series featuring representation from numerous video game series. One of the most fundamental appeals of Smash is the ability to play as your favorite video game characters. To quote one Smashboards user, "When I booted it up and saw Mario on the character select screen, I knew I had to play as him since I was a big Mario fan back then. While my main would eventually change and I would eventually appreciate the game more for its actual combat, seeing a character that I love in it was the gateway for me." The crossover nature of the series allows it to reach a much wider audience, as there's a good chance that people are already familiar with at least one character to help introduce them to the game. Why people become fans is a little easier to understand, or at least it's more concrete than how. According to Duffett, fans tend to report feeling empowered by their interests. They often describe their connection in terms of a pleasant sense of shock, captivation, or reinvigoration. There are many stories about personal fandom helping people through episodes of illness, divorce, or bereavement. These stories suggest that fandom is a source of personal power that people turn to at different points in their life's journey. In other words, fans derive positive feelings from their fandom. Whether that's enjoyment, empowerment, passion, or invigoration, fans are able to manifest these emotions through their engagement as fans. And with that, I think it's time to start delving into the speculation community. The Super Smash Bros. Speculation community refers to a general collection of Smash fans who are invested in the game's roster of characters, specifically in regards to which characters are going to be added into the next installment. Speculation is common amongst fandoms of all types. Fans of television shows, for instance, may invest themselves in trying to use available clues to piece together what will happen next while waiting for the next episode to air. This can serve to partially satisfy a fan's desire to know the outcome of a show when the answers aren't immediately available, and for many, the satisfaction of correct predictions can serve as its own motivation. Smash speculation is similar but also distinct. Firstly, as mentioned previously, Super Smash Bros. Is a crossover series between multiple different video game franchises. Consequently, the Smash fandom is an amalgamation of numerous different fandoms, with each fan coming into the series with their own unique perspective. Secondly, Smash has cultural significance. Not only is the series extremely popular, it's held in high regard by gamers. Smash has developed a reputation of being a collection of video game all-stars. A character getting into the roster is significant, not just because people will be able to play as one of their favorite characters in a fun game, but because it symbolically cements that character's legacy. This goes beyond mere symbolism. Smash as a series is incredibly influential. Fire Emblem was a relatively small series of role-playing games exclusive to Japan, but when 2 of its characters were introduced into Super Smash Bros. Melee, the popularity of the characters prompted the series to be localized, and since then it's evolved into one of Nintendo's more popular franchises. Kid Icarus was a poor-selling action platformer for the Nintendo Entertainment System, but when its protagonist, Pit, was brought back as a character in Super Smash Bros. Brawl, the character experienced a surge of popularity, resulting in a new entry in the Kid Icarus series being released in 2012. Super Smash Bros. Is a literal game changer. A character getting into the roster is a really big deal. This is why speculation is so important to fans. Not only do fans get the chance to have their favorite characters playable in a game that's enjoyed by millions, but those characters also receive immense exposure and their games have the chance to go on to be something more. I mentioned earlier that in some speculation communities, the satisfaction of correct predictions is a potential motivator. That's true to some extent in regards to Smash, but the type of fans that populate the speculation community aren't generally concerned with being correct as much as they're concerned with getting what they want. The Smash speculation community is, at its core, a collection of fandoms trying to simultaneously predict the future, showcase their own fandom to others, and immortalize their fandom. So why speculate? Well, according to speculators, to me, it was a way that I was able to keep better tabs on the game during the speculation period. Rather than just keeping up with the daily updates on my own, having a group of people to discuss speculation topics with helped maintain and increase my investment in the Smash games during the speculation period. I was interested in discussing characters I loved and wanted to learn more about new ones. I got into the speculation community because I felt I wanted to put out my thoughts. Speculation allows fans to keep up with what is generally expected by fans. It provides an opportunity to share ideas and be exposed to new ones, and it can potentially provide some measure of certainty regarding an uncertain future. Speaking of which, let's talk about spoilers. Spoilers are pretty common when discussing films, books, or TV shows. Anytime someone, somewhere has access to information regarding a story before other people have a chance to see it, the potential for spoilers exists. In terms of speculation, spoilers can be a mixed bag. On one hand, they may ruin any upcoming surprises before their intended reveal, which may weaken the overall impact it has. On the other hand, spoilers bestow knowledge. They provide information where there may have been none before. In a study of fans of the TV show Lost, media professor Jason Mattel writes, "Spoiler fans seek the pleasure and comfort of viewing the known, enabling the enjoyment of a familiar text even upon its first viewing." This is rather important for Smash speculation as leaks are extremely common, and not only that, Smash speculation often revolves around them. A leak in Smash terms can range from anything from a simple text post on the internet to a screenshot of the game itself, more often than not revealing some information about the game's roster. Now, 99% of these leaks that come out are ultimately fake, but there's usually at least 1 or 2 that sneak in there that are for real. To use Mattel's terminology, Smash speculators are spoiler fans. Because Smash speculators are primarily concerned with the final outcome of the roster above all else, speculation frequently revolves around leaks, sorting the credible ones from the fake ones and figuring out what the implications of the credible leaks are. Above all else, Smash speculators want certainty. They want to know if their character is getting in, and while most enjoy the thrill of a surprise, certainty is more comforting than spending months waiting for something that may never actually happen. If anything, spoilers can blunt damage. They can provide audiences important information to judge whether or not something is worth their time and investment. To quote Mattel in regards to Lost, "Some cautious fans remain worried, hiding a touch of fear behind their pleasures, a tinge of apprehension that their show might start to decline, or take an undesirable narrative turn to break their fanish hearts. For such cautious fans, spoilers work as a form of narrative insulation, revealing potential miscues in the less emotionally charged medium of online text. As one fan wrote, "You can prepare yourself for things that you normally wouldn't like. By reading spoilers, you will have the time to adjust to them by the time the episode airs." Hopefully. Without spoilers, you run the risk of investing so much time and energy only to be disappointed, not only in the ultimate outcome of events, but also in the one responsible for said outcome. Speaking of which... Let's talk about King K. Rool.
Mike!
New Smash character! It's happening!
What? It's gonna be him! King K. Rool! It's got to be him! Who else could it be?
King K. Rool is the main antagonist of Nintendo's Donkey Kong franchise, a large, goofy crocodile who frequently tries to steal Donkey Kong's bananas, or just blow them up. Between the character's goofy antics and the popularity of the Donkey Kong series as a whole, King K. Rool has developed tremendous popularity amongst Nintendo fans. Like, he's really popular.
Everybody knows I'm wretched! I'm volatile and violent every day! I'm vicious and unkind, unabashed and unrefined, so act like I and try the K. Rool way!
As a result, K. Rool has been a popular request for Super Smash Bros. Ever since the series began. However, with each game released, K. Rool remained nowhere to be seen, and his absence came to be seen as a glaring hole in the game's roster.
Who is it, Harley? Is it King K. Rool? Mike, that Smash character reveal. The character, Harley? Who is it? It's Robin from Fire Emblem. Who?
Support for K. Rool continued to grow the longer he wasn't made playable, reaching such a point that even Smash fans who were indifferent to the character wanted to see him in to fulfill a long-held fandom wish. What complicated matters was that as the years went by, K. Rool made less and less appearances in mainstream Donkey Kong titles, as the series opted for a new Villains of the Week approach to their games instead. To date, K. Rool's last appearance in an actual game was the 2008 title Mario Super Sluggers, a Mario baseball game. Despite this, fans were persistent. At this point, it was no longer about just adding a character to Smash. It was about preventing a beloved character from being forgotten entirely. In 2015, Nintendo released a ballot for fans to vote for their character to be added to Super Smash Bros. As a playable fighter. Fans of K. Rool launched at the opportunity, and while no official results have been posted, K. Rool frequently appears high on fan-made polls measuring ballot responses. That would have been the last word on the matter. The final roster for the previous Super Smash Bros. Was revealed by the end of 2015, and K. Rool did not make the cut. But then... August 8th, 2018, Nintendo airs a half-hour presentation dedicated to the upcoming Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. As the final announcement, King K. Rool is confirmed as a newcomer for the game. The impact of this in the fandom was massive. About a week after the presentation, a thread was opened on Smashboards discussing what was purported to be leaked intel regarding Nintendo's position on K. Rool and the Smash ballot. According to this post, Nintendo was completely taken aback by the amount of support K. Rool got. Completely blew them away. They had no idea that the character had any popularity, but that's why we got K. Rool in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. It was the Kremlin campaigners. It was the fans. It was everybody listening to this that filled out that ballot, who made campaigns and petitions and made yourself vocally heard. It was because of you. Whether or not this leak is legitimate is actually irrelevant because it brings us to an important question regarding fandom. Who actually owns the work in question? A common theme amongst fandoms is the constant tug-of-war between the artist and the fans, as each have their own interest regarding the direction the subject of the fandom takes. As fandom scholar Henry Jenkins notes, while fans display a particularly strong attachment to popular narratives, act upon them in ways which make them their own property in some senses, they are also acutely and painfully aware that these fictions do not belong to them, and that someone else has the power to do things to those characters that are in direct contradiction to the fans' own cultural interests. Sometimes, fans respond to this situation with a worshipful deference to the media producers, yet often they respond with hostility and anger against those who have the power to retool their narratives into something radically different from that which the audience desires. To put it more simply, an artist like Super Smash Bros. Director Masahiro Sakurai creates a work of art that fans enjoy. When the artist goes to make additional works, fans develop their own expectations for that work, while the artist continues pursuing their own vision. Sometimes these interests overlap, but oftentimes they come into conflict. This begs the question of who truly owns the text. Does an artist owe it to the fans to give them what they want? Or is the artist entitled to pursue their own vision regardless of what fans want? This is a major source of tension within the Smash speculation community. When you get down to it, Smash Bros. Is a series built on the concept of providing fans what they want, bringing beloved characters, locations, and music together into one glorious celebration of Nintendo history. As a result, a common idea presented amongst the speculation community is that the game should cater directly to fans, and this mentality frequently informs the community's speculation on which characters are likely. When a character like King K. Rool is announced, the fandom is ecstatic. K. Rool's reveal alone prompted a massive thank you letter to be sent to Sakurai from the fans, and said letter even got an official response from Nintendo. But said fans are also quick to turn on Sakurai when he ends up making decisions contrary to fan expectations. November 1st, 2018. The final video presentation for the upcoming Super Smash Bros. Ultimate aired. The video revealed the final roster for the game, effectively concluding the game's initial speculation period and dashing the hopes of many fans still holding out for their favorite character to make it in. Going into the presentation, expectations were high, and fans were expecting a knockout reveal to end off on a high note. And so it was that the final newcomer for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate was revealed to be...
a shrubbery! A what?
That's right, Piranha Plant will take root in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and not as an assist trophy, but as an actual fighter.
This was not what fans were expecting. Context. A Piranha Plant is a common, generic enemy encountered in the Super Mario series. And that's about it. Piranha Plant is an interesting addition to Smash, given that it's not so much a character as it is a type of obstacle. It's not an especially important or popular video game character, it's just a plant. Fan reactions to Piranha Plant were mixed. On one hand, you had fans who thought the very concept of a potted plant being playable was hilarious and made for a fun, unique addition to the cast.
Yes! I am totally gonna play the Piranha Plant! Yes!
On the other hand, you had fans who were insulted that a character that absolutely nobody had ever asked for got into the roster instead of any one of the hundreds of characters fans had actually been requesting. What we see here is the exact type of split Henry Jenkins describes. Piranha Plant threw a wrench into the popular narrative that only true all-stars could get into the roster. And while there are plenty of fans open to the idea, there is a significant subset of the fandom that reacted with hostility. And this isn't the only time this has happened, mind you. This tug-of-war over the ownership of a work is, in my opinion, one of the most defining elements of the Smash speculation community, and why I think the community is so interesting as a subject of study. I'm a Smash fan. I grew up with the series and it sparked my interest in video games. I spent a lot of time playing and speculating about the game with friends, and when my favorite character was revealed, I screamed so loud that my family thought I was dying. That is to say, I've experienced Smash fandom and the culture surrounding it firsthand, and I've always been fascinated by its many facets. So needless to say, I was rather disappointed to find out that there has been little to no work done to examine this fandom. To me, that's egregious. This video provides only a rudimentary look into fandom studies as well as Smash, but it's a start. My hope is that those of you watching this will come out just a little bit more curious, because I think there's something worth exploring here.